this is Liz from Liz at Home. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be going through a little bit of doodle patterns to give you some ideas to use when you're doing watercolor and doodling or just passing the time doodling. I am giving a disclaimer here, none of these patterns are my own. They've all been found in books or on the Zentangle website or from ebook downloads that I've bought. I will put a couple of links of interesting books that I've bought, or they're lovely Etsy books that I've bought as well, ebooks that I downloaded, in case you're interested in looking into this further. But until then, I hope that I'll give you some ideas to carry on with. I use this little Fabriano notebook. It's a dot grid notebook, and I find it very handy for practicing my various doodle patterns and things in. I really like just drawing and practicing things that I've found, and I usually use a pencil to try the pattern out with first. I usually use a pencil quite lightly, and then I go over the pencil with a micron pen, any size. If you're doing it, it depends what effect you want, so sometimes finer, sometimes bigger. So without further ado, first things first, I think one needs to remember the simplest of patterns is a line, a straight line, joined by more straight lines. Which you can make closer together, or even closer together, or further apart, and they can add interest. The next simplest thing to do is a circle. So when you're doodling, your circle does not have to be perfect. I often find just going around by myself, and then I'll get my circle like that and try to erase around it and then go back and try and get it better. Or you can use something. I often, if I'm doing something that I want to look pretty, I will use a compass, or I will use a tool, or I will use a coin, or anything to get a nice circle shape. But so having drawn a circle, you can go further with that, and you can draw circles within the circle of different sizes. Adds interest. And you can fill in lots of spaces with circles, and it can add texture and make something look nice. So taking circles and lines, you could, within an area, let me make a box here. Say you've got a box of watercolor paint or something like that. You could draw lines diagonally. You can make them wavy. That in itself is nice. You could then cross over them. That makes a kind of a net. Adds interest. You could add to that by adding a little circle on each of the crosses, which you could fill in. I think it would look quite nice done in gold. So there you've got a very pretty textured sort of doodle happening. You can go further with that, and you could add little lines around that to make it look like little hojas, little beetles or little things. Or you could do a petal shape around each one. And you can end up with another pattern like that. I'm just doing this very quickly now. So I'm going to draw another line, another box with diagonal lines, and show you another pattern that works well like that. There are many that go sort of from joining diagonal lines together. This particular pattern in the Zentangle bunch of people, groups, family, I don't know what to call them, I'm not trained in it, I've just read books, is called Nzeppel, N-Z-E-P-P-E-L. So you would draw cross lines. And then you would go through the crosses. I hope I'm doing that right. I'm doing it so roughly now. And then through those crosses as well. So you've divided your page into a lot, and what you end up doing is erasing this light paper thing and then doing not a circle but an oblong. Fill up the whole area with big oblongs. First of all, on where all of those, well, we fill up the whole area with big oblongs. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it's going to take too long. You can put little circles in there, and as you can see, that lands up looking like a flower. I'm going to erase the rest of, well, I'm going to do the flower part in pen. Just so that you can see what it would look like. I hope that I'll do the whole bit here. Hope that you can see, perhaps if I move this like that. There we are. As usual, the minute I'm doing something, I forget to talk, or my voice goes really soft. I am not a multitasker. So one can do something like that. I'll wait for that to dry a bit. And you land up with pretty flowers. Another thing you can do is just, again, let's give yourself an area to be bound in, as it were, is just do leaves. They look pretty. You could then join your leaves up if you wanted to. And you land up with a slightly different looking thing. Another thing that I love are leaves in all shapes, sizes and forms. When you're doing a leaf, it's always a good idea to start with a curvy stem, so curve up in an area, and then you just basically, you can do different styles, form going from the stem out. So I always go up the stem a little bit and then out. That always works very well as a doodle. And then you can do things with that. So I'm going to go over that in pen so that you can see. So this is the way I would approach it, and then I would go over it in pen. And then you add interest to your leaf by adding little lines for the veins of the leaf. You can, or you don't have to. Totally up to you. I would erase, I would let that pen dry, and then I would erase the pencil. It's probably smudging a little because I didn't let it dry properly. And then you can add things, little circles again. Fill in the gaps with circles. Always looks cute. Another thing you can do with leaves is to, I'm going to do this straight away in pen and hope it's okay, but again I would do that, is to bring the branches out and from there I'm going to actually extend that a bit more and make it a pointy leaf with those kind of veins going on there, and I'm going to make that a little berry branch, pointy leaf, and a pointy leaf again, and then I'm going to add a berry branch here with little twigs of berries on. Always makes a good doodle. So that's a good doodle. Another nice doodle to do, lines going across, and then on your line add circles and hearts if you feel like it, or other shapes. And then from that heart shape, another nice floral doodle is to take, let me get rid of this out of the way, is to again have your sort of stem going and to do a sort of a lavender thing. So you doing one on either side, just little feathery leaves on either side. You can wind that all over the show and around things, as you can see I've done there. And so you've got wavy lines, and then you've got a winding pretty sort of lavender thing. Then this kind of a flower works very well as well with berries. So you can do a flower like that. I would usually start with, I'm going to do it in pencil, with a kind of a rounded diamond, and then sort of think down and draw a crossways. And take another one out there. And then from that, you can aim your one down so that it has a semi-heart. In. And you can get another one there. And then, why not add berries here? Let's add some more round berries, big ones, big round berries. Those will look nice. And we can add a nice sort of, maybe a little leaf coming out there, a thin one, a nice berry here, and some more there. And this is where it's nice to have pencils so that you can see where you need to leave room. And then you can add a nice pointy leaf, maybe. I always find those a bit difficult. So if I go pointy, then to make it jagged, I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to make a leaf like that, and then just get the pointiness like that. And then I would go over that in pen. Which makes it much easier. And then we can do our berries. And take your time so that you meet them nicely in the middle. I want that to be a big berry. I get too small sometimes with my berries, and a big one looks better. A nice leaf. Big berry, this one going around there, and another one, and then we're just going to give that a minute or two to dry, and then you can either leave it like that, or you can add little flicks of spiky things that come out of the top of the flower, your lines that make the leaves pretty. Always with the berry, just that little circle thing that makes it obvious that it's a berry. And then from this leaf, I'm going to go there and do little veins up to the sides. And then you can do something like, if you've got a nice watercolor underneath, that's fine. Or you can add something like a triangle. I would normally sort of measure it out to be, but I didn't bring anything with me today to do that, but just to join it there. So I'll draw this in like in a dotted line or dashed line or something, which gives it a nice doodly look. And then always circles, squiggly lines, hearts, diamonds, these kind of snail things are great doodles. I think that's actually it. Our power is going to go off here in South Africa now. We've been on like a 4-hourly schedule, 2.5 hours off, 4 hours on, 2.5 hours off, 4 hours on, and it's driving us crazy. So my lighting's going to go. So I will end this video here. Let me end it with some of my other doodles so that you've got something to look at. And I'd like to thank you for watching. I will put some links to the lady that I get the ebooks with the lovely flowers from on Etsy, and to some Zendoodle books that I buy for my Kindle. And I get a lot of patterns. This pattern's a Zendoodle pattern. And then there's also a free website that you can, for Zendoodle patterns. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll do some doodling. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye now.